All right, so let's have a look at the concept of linear interpolation now, and the same question. Okay, so use linear interpolation to estimate the median. We want to find the median. The median we know is your middle value. So if I'm looking for my middle value in terms of this frequency, my middle value, if I'm going from 1 all the way to 100, to find the median, I normally take the total number of terms plus 1 divided by 2. So that's 100 plus 1 divided by 2, which means it will be 50.5 in between the 50th and the 51st. It would be exactly in between those two. Now, using a cumulative frequency, which we have over here, you can see that's 5, that's 18, that's 34. Let's just make sure that's right. So it's 5 plus 8 is 5 plus 13 gets you 18, plus that gets you 34. 34 plus 25 gets you 59. And we can see that the 50th value would lie there, but we want the 50.5th value. The 50.5th value would be definitely lying in this region here. Now, how does that work? Well, we're done with 34. We're done with 34 by the time we get there. Which means now we're only going to be sitting with that interval, and it's going to lie in this interval. If I'm starting at 12, and I've got 13, then I've got 14, and then I've got 15, which is that interval there, I know that this starts from the sum of all of this has to be also, we got 25, right? So this is a representation of 25. If I have to allocate a middle value for this, at the same time, I also know that besides finding the middle value of that, if I've got 34 already up till here, I'm now going to add another 25, but I've got to add a certain number to get to the 50.5th interval specifically. So if I start off before, prior I get to 34, what number do I add to get to 50.5? So 50.5 minus 34 comes to 16.5. Okay, so 16.5 into this interval, I will hit the median. Okay, and that would get me exactly 50.5. So that means that if I have 25, which is my total, let's say I'm working like that, and let's say this length represents 25. Okay, so if the length of this is represented by 25, then by the time I finish the 25, I'm moving on to the next interval. So the next interval will be over here, and the previous interval will be over here. And as I move into this, I will start getting closer and closer to 50.5 at some point. 50.5 proportionally would be 16.5 in, which means that halfway is 12.5. So 16.5 would lie somewhere over here. And that would be the fraction of 25 that we need to utilize. So we take 16.5 as a fraction of 25. Maybe let's calculate it as a percentage. 16.5 divided by 25 is 66%. So 66% into the interval, we will have that, and on the other side, 34% will be remaining on the side. Now we have a few numbers here. We're starting at 12, including 12, and we're going up to 15. If I have to go 66% into the interval, which means I would end up somewhere over here, then I got 15 minus 12, which is 3. And that's the class interval size. So what is 66% of class interval of 3? 66% of 3 comes to 0.66 times 3, which is 1.98. It's equal to 1.98, which means if I take 12 and I plus 1.98, I will end up at 13.98. Plus 1.98, I will end up at 13.98. So most likely at 13.98, I will get that median. Now, the question is the median at the 50th value, or is it actually at the 50.5th value? Is the next thing. Because I've got a frequency of 100, I'm assuming that if I got 50 on this side and another 50 on this side, the median has to be between those two values, which is exactly 50.5, which is what I'm using over here. So let's suppose I adjust this question and I say, okay, well, let's make it 50, which is exactly halfway. If I go with 50, because we're not including the last values, let's say 50 is the middle part, then 50 would make this number 16, and 16 would make this change as well. 16 divided by 25 will come to 64%, and then 64% times 3 will come to 1.92, and then that will be 1.92, so this will be 13.92, which is the actual length. So using linear interpolation to estimate the median length of carrots, definitely we're looking at if it's exactly 50 in at that point would be 13.92 centimeters, which is there somewhere 64% into it.